Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Simulating Civilization in Yeeps, Episode 2. Alright, you're going to do a quick recap. Last time, we had the beginning country, Red Country, expand out. They discovered Midnight, They expanded a lot. They had a bunch of revolutions. We had some wars between, Red and Olive and Midnight, and then between Turquoise, Teal, and Brown. So, honestly, yeah, a lot happened. Now we're going to get into episode 2, and I'm going to decide what happens next. Alright, so this is how the map is currently looking, and Red is going to actually continue trying to expand north, expand their colony over here. And, they're getting pretty close to countries like Steel, who have expanded up into the mountains. And then also this light yellow country, who has also expanded up into the mountains. Alright, so this is Red Colony over here. They're doing a lot of expanding along the river, and they decided to sail up the river, And while they're sailing up the river, we're going to go move on, We don't care about this anymore. We're going far north, to the very, very far north. Alright, right now, we're getting the formation of a new country. This is going to be the Purple Country. Yep. Oh, you all can start clapping now. Let's go. Come on. So this Purple Country starts here and start up in the frozen north, It is very, very cold up here. Why did I just get rid of my star? It is very, very cold up here, so they can't really do a lot of expanding, But they explore a bit more of their island and down south, what they think is another big island like theirs. Alright, this Purple Country begins setting up some cities, some ports, some trade areas, and they start getting a pretty big foothold, And they continue to expand through the harsh mountains. Right now, winter comes and they get a big storm, and they are forced down into this area, this little coastal area here. And honestly, they don't really want to have anything to do with this island here, They don't know how big it is. They really see it as only having mountains right now. But up here, this little area down here wasn't actually too bad, as a lot of the weather, was really just hitting the mountains. So they decided to set up a more permanent colony here, These guys over here, they expanded north, and they set up a bit more trade routes, and they did some more expansion north. We got another one set up here, and eventually they come in and they just explore their whole island, as well as much south down here. Alright, so they're going to come in and they're going to set up a more permanent colony over here. They think this area is pretty profitable. Even though it's cold, it has pretty mild weather, just down their capital here. And, it is really a central area. Their capital is also central, They could push this way, which they do, and set up, you guessed it, another colony. But here, you could really just make a triangle formation, Pretty easy to get stuff. And also, if colonies are sailing more this way, whatever land is over there, they could use here to refuel it. Alright, now, eventually, they, using a mountain pass, they connect up to their coastal area here where they spent a winter. Right, and through more island expanding, they eventually connect their whole lands. Right, of course, some areas still haven't been fully integrated, but they're still there. Right, more mountainous exploring happens over here. And we start to see the arrival of some countries. Right, these guys, they expand up into the north here, and they discover a brand new country. Give it up for light teal. That's mint. Alright, I'm gonna call mint. Give it up for mint. Right, this mint country has lived on this mountain for hundreds of years, and now they just got like some random guys that they gotta sit here with. They don't really want that, right? They ask these purple people to leave, right? To get out. You know, we don't want you here. Alright, but purple is like, no. Alright, purple is not gonna have that. Right, these mountains, they could hold unforetold riches. I think I should say unforeseen. They could hold unforeseen riches, like gold. And gold. Right, so these purple people, they don't want to leave, and they set up another colony right on these guys, like, front porches. And they're not having that. They're not having that, because these purple people, they're seeing a lot of expansion, right? They're hearing from other nations. I won't call them nations, like, they're hearing from, like, other tribes, right, that these purple people are really just expanding and encroaching on their land. Encroaching on land that doesn't even belong to them. Right, so these mint people, they've about had enough. Right, they've done some exploration themselves, but they were nowhere as bad as these purple people. Alright, so what they're gonna do is they're gonna work over here with these roast people who they've been communicating with to start attacks on these purple people. Right, so they begin. And Mint has quite an easy time. It isn't really a well defended colony, and they quickly take it over. But Rose does not have a quick and easy time. Rose begins to push in at first, right? But then they get pushed back with Purple's superior technology, and their capital is taken. Now, Purple is pretty charitable country, so they let Rose move their capital and stay a country. Alright, now we're gonna take a step back from this area here. And we're gonna come back down south. Right, these red people, they sail up the river, and they eventually just keep on sailing, and they set up a new colony here. Right, they kind of assume that super tall mountain is really just in the way of their expansion, because if they try to go north, they find mountains, so they assume it's one giant mountain that is blocking them. And their colony up here is really not getting well supplied. Right, they're starving out here, and honestly, they don't know how much more they can supply it, because they've got more revolts happening. Steel is encroaching closer and closer on their land. So they need some way to get that colony developed. So they go right through the barrier and set up another colony here. And they are just hoping, right? They expand, expand, expand. Eventually they get to this river here. They sail up it, and yeah, it leads nowhere. They set up a colony, but it ain't leading nowhere. So they try the other river, sail up, and which way do they go here? Which way are they gonna go? They take the right path, and they eventually find that they can supply their colony from here by using another colony. Alright, many riots are happening over here because Red is still mistreating all their colonies. Right, they're acting like they aren't important. So we see some riots here. Some people trying to take over. Right, but Red isn't going to allow that. Red swoops in, and they begin invading. Right, but these guys are smarter. Smarter than Red ever expected. Right, so they managed to make significant territorial gains back. Alright, and then this area right here, this is important. Right, it has a central location. It can be used to pretty quickly restock fleets. Like restock ships without having to go back to the mainland. They can just go here and then sail back up for supplies. So light yellow takes this opportunity to show why they hate Red, and they go in and take it. Red can't really stop it because they're trying to stop this revolt here, which they lose a significant part of their colony to. Right, but Red isn't done. Red keeps exploring. They keep looking around. They meet up with more and more people, and this is really showing why people genuinely hate Red. Alright, Red is encroaching closer and closer into Lavender Land. And Red has just discovered a new guac country here. Alright, a guac country around just on the river. Right, this country is pretty weak. Alright, this country is pretty weak. Alright, so Red takes this as an opportunity to go in and do a two-front invasion on Guac. Alright, Guac is pushed to the limit. Guac can't do much more. Alright, but after sending out a yell for help, we have a huge army of people just ready to go in and invade Red. But Red was getting kind of smart, right? Red was making deals, making alliances with countries like Turquoise, alright, and Brown and Teal. Alright, Turquoise and Teal working together. That's probably not gonna work out. Alright, that is probably not gonna work out. Right, Red said, right, Teal and Turquoise, you guys don't have to be allies, but you guys can just be allies with me. Alright, so we had countries like Lavender here. Wait a minute, I almost forgot. Red is also making an alliance with Blue here, right? Blue doesn't really like Lavender, you know? Lavender has some ethnically blue lands. Alright, so now we've got this whole coalition of people here, and this is going to start a major war. Alright, I'm going to use these pipes to represent who's on whose side. We're going to get the red side here. This is going to represent red, and then we also have the blue side, which is going to represent blue. Alright, and then countries have been nothing. They're not going to be anything. Alright. Yeah, boom. 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 Oh, sorry. Right, red. Red. Right, so we've got this whole out huge war that's going to be happening. Sorry. That should be blue, and that should be red. Alright, so now we're gonna see a pretty big war happening here. Alright, we're gonna have Midnight begin to push into red, while Lavender also comes in from this side and begins to expand towards Guac to give them some relief. Alright, and then we have Olive, or whatever, yeah, Olive, come in from the north, start taking some islands, and reach the mountains. Right, then Turquoise comes in and begins an invasion of Midnight, right? Because Midnight, right, has some of these mountains, and Turquoise, yeah, it's a mountainous nation. Right, and then Turquoise gets pretty close to the capital, right? So Midnight has to send some troops home. But Light Yellow is coming in here. Alright, also doing some invasion on Red. Red is just getting destroyed. Alright, this Lavender, alright, is coming in here. And they're expanding a lot, right? They begin to help Guac, but then Blue comes in from this side and begins an invasion, right? Making their plans come to a halt. Alright, but Brown and Teal here, they're gonna send a lot of aid, right? To countries like Red and countries like Turquoise. Right, these guys are also gonna expand along here. Alright, Turquoise is gonna come up in and basically stop a lot of that, as well as get an invasion here. Turquoise is surprisingly strong, right? They're getting a lot done, and now Red is bouncing back. Right, Red launches an invasion from the north here, splitting Olive in two. Right, and now they're getting crushed from these forces in the north. We're now also able to repel, right, Lavender, because Blue is invading, and they're getting aid from Brown and from Teal. Alright, they're getting crushed here. Get another invasion. Light Yellow's capital falls, and they just nope out of the war. Alright, they're gonna get white for neutral. Olive is almost done. Right, their capital is encircled. There's not much left they can do. This whole place is just in ruins right now. It is honestly just falling apart. So yeah, we're actually gonna move on from that. Alright, we're looking at some more expansions over here. Right, purple is really going to lock in. Alright, purple is going to do a lot, and I mean a lot of expanding. Right, they're gonna like expand along this river. Alright, they're gonna discover many islands up in the north here. And so much land. They are like really good at discovering land. Alright, and as you know, they set up colonies like they always do. They eventually, right, they expand along their own island, right? They're setting up a lot of colonies. Right, they expand fully into this island. They discover this island here. They take this, they take that. They get that. So yeah, this purple is dominating. Right, they're dominating. But over here in the mint scene, right, they are expanding. And, right, they discover this mountain. right? They treat this high mountain peak as like something sacred, right? Something that should be protected. All right, and they want to take it for themselves, right? Because they believe that this is so important. But then another country shows up, right? Amber. Amber's not having that. They're like, nah, bro, this is our mountain. And despite the fact that we all thought Mint was a hero here, Mint was trying to stop invasion. Mint is not a hero. Mint comes in and begins to invade Amber. Oh, I gotta pull out my... where is it? Here it is. I gotta pull out my capital maker. Alright, yeah, so Mint comes in and basically they take the capital, and the forces are really just pushed back to the actual mountain itself. Right, Purple uses this as an opportunity to kind of seem like a hero right now. They come in and they invade Mint, right? Force them to back off, back away from Amber. And right, Purple has been powering up, so they pretty easily overpower Mint. So right, Mint kind of forced to back out, say, all right, I'm sorry, Amber. I shouldn't have done that. All right, and Purple, using this as another moment, seem like a hero, seem like a Chad. And he's really not, he's just a chud. Right, he gives back that land to Mint, Trying to make him seem like the better person, better country. All right, Mint does some more expanding here. And honestly, this leads to a time of peace, right? Where not really much happens out in the region. All Purple does, and a lot of other countries do, is really just expand their territory, discover resources, really see what this place has to offer. Yeah, so we see a lot of major expansion from Rose here after they lost a pretty significant amount of territory from Purple. Alright, now Purple discovers a new country here. This is going to be the Light Mocha country. Alright, this Light Mocha country really just resides on the bank of this river. Let me get in my thing. Light Mocha's capital is going to be right here. So yeah, honestly, Purple does a lot of expansion, and they become a pretty big influence in the region, right? They eventually expand a lot more into the mountains. Right, they do a lot more expeditions. They don't really set up any more colonies, as they really prefer colonies that are coastal, right? A lot easier to be able to access. Alright, we're going to have some more expansion come out in here. This is going to include, you guessed it, another new colony. Alright, we're going to see some more expansion from Amber, where they're going to expand around the Sacred Mountain. And they're kind of similar to the Mint people, right? Where they think this mountain is really important to them, right? It's important to their culture. So they want to be able to protect it as much as possible from any future invasions. From people like Mint. Alright, they also eventually expand down the mountain and discover a river. Alright, this river is totally not important at all. No, it's totally not an important river. You know, it totally does not matter at all. Right, it's just some stupid bum river. Who cares? Anyways. So yeah, countries, they're really expanding more. Purple is expanding its influence, doing a lot more expanding, and like Purple does, they discover another new country. Come on. That's all they do nowadays. All they do is just find countries out there, and they discover them. Right, this is going to be a dark brown country. Right, this dark brown country is really just on the edge of the mountains. They don't really have much going on. That's really what Purple's finding a lot, right? A lot of these countries, they don't care about expanding. They just care about the welfare of their people, or, you know, making sure their environment is good, or whatever. Right? Purple doesn't care about that. Purple cares about expanding. Alright, but we're going to learn about Purple's expansion in a sec. We're going to go back to this war. Alright. So, honestly, things aren't looking too good over here. Countries have been destroyed. They've been kicked out. Olive has just lost their capital. They haven't actually given up, though. Right? They're still going. They're still fighting. But then, Teal makes a surprise turnaround. Right? They realize what they're doing is wrong. They're working with their enemy instead of working against it. Right? So, they go in, and Brown is supplying a lot of troops up there and really just keeping things alive. So, they go in and they begin an invasion of Brown. Right, so Brown stops sending troops away. So, the Red Army here starts to lose a lot. Right now, its main contributor is just Turquoise. And with Steel Paint being pushed up into the mountains, right, they're gonna do really whatever it takes. Alright, the Steel Fighters bring Light Yellow back into the war. Alright, the whole government has collapsed. They're like, you shouldn't give up now. You should not give up now. So, along with the Light Yellow and Steel Fighters, work together to push down here. Basically just destroy this red settlement. Alright, they work together. Oh, shoot. They work together to stop Turquoise up here. And they managed to push out the Turquoise. Alright, and then using this new form of motivation, the Olives make a surprise attack. Where they go all the way north. Alright, I didn't mean to paint that. Alright, they start going north, and they manage to meet up with Lavender forces. And Lavender has a lot to spare. Right? They've really just been helping out Guac. Helping out Guac fight some of the, like, red resistance. Right? And then Blue has been kind of a tough enemy. They do a pretty big amount of expanding, but they can't really get too much done. Right, so Lavender comes over here. Right, they work with Olive to get them some more resources. Right, get them more troops, get them resupplied. And Midnight is almost gone. Midnight is almost gone. Almost completely gone. Alright, while many expeditions and advancements over in the west have failed, the Turquoise he goes ahead and takes the liberty to wipe Midnight out of the war completely. And then they go in and they head south and begin to take over take over teal, splitting them in two and allowing brown to get a massive pushback. Alright, but you know what? These countries, they aren't going to give up yet, right? They're going to keep fighting. Lavender makes peace with blue and is like, alright, dude, I'll just give you the lands you want. I'll give you the lands you want. And the lands blue wanted were this. These are the lands blue wanted. Alright, so peace is done there. Blue is now out of the war. Alright, Guac has been recovering. And with the help of Lavender, they managed to defeat all of the red forces over here. And they begin sending aid down to Olive. Right, as red begins a massive advancement onto them. Right, but Steel manages to expand along the coast and help light yellow forces take back their capital. Alright, so their capital has just been taken back, and now they begin a surprise invasion against red. Alright, everyone thought they'd go for turquoise. Turquoise has now regrouped and has started a huge invasion, is just battering them. Battering steel from the south. Even coming up here, supply lines are breaking, but the mountain passes are not. Alright, dark purple comes in here, sends a huge group of fighters down south to begin a massive mountain invasion against turquoise here. Alright, honestly, dark purple was pretty weak when they weren't prepared. Right, but now that they've been really learning how to get some fighting skills in, and seeing as most of turquoise's troops are out here on the battlefield trying to defeat teal and trying to defeat brown. Yeah, it's honestly, it's kind of tough. Alright, but as time is going, the allies in the war, this one is out. The allies in the war are getting fewer and fewer. Alright, honestly, Brown can't disrespect its teal brother any longer. And Brown just leaves the war. Alright, Brown is now neutral. Alright, so this gives teal the opportunity to begin a counter invasion. Alright, they can begin a counter invasion against turquoise. Right, and then Olive is honestly the final nail in the coffin. They send all their troops right out here to these islands, and they encircle the capital, right, landing along here, and then they take it. They get up a good foothold. They meet up with the light yellow and the steel forces, and they all work together to fully take over the red land. Alright, now these countries, they've really got their land back. Alright, now there's really only one enemy left to be dealt with. Alright, so we have teal. We have teal coming in from the south. Right, we have steel coming in here. Right, steel along with yellow begin invading. Here, I'll do it over here. Right, we have a lot of steel pushback. That's not steel. We have a lot of steel pushback coming in here. And then we have the dark purple forces who have expanded drastically. Right, they've expanded drastically into turquoise's territory. Right, and then their country is just like split in half. Right now, we see a midnight revolt. Right, the midnight people revolt and begin helping to defeat turquoise permanently. Right, we have teal come in, take this. Then we have I think this is steel, right? It probably is. Okay, well, yeah, we have the midnight people come in, and then the dark purples come in and take this. So, boom, it is done. The red side have lost the war. It is over. We are now going to enter an era of peace right after we get these borders fixed. Because these are atrocious. Ooh, those are bad. Alright, so red is going to be restored. But they're just going to be stripped of what colonies they had. Honestly though, this colony up here gets abandoned. It is done. Alright, no country gets put in its place there. It's just, it is abandoned. Alright, midnight expands. Is that midnight or? No, what? Midnight expands significantly. Alright, eastward. And yeah, red loses a lot of territory. Light yellow is also restored. Where is it? Light yellow is restored. He gets his capital back. This dark purple right here, it is allowed to expand down south. It expands along the river. Turquoise, honestly, turquoises are pretty big foe in the war, right? They're doing a lot of fighting, and they're pretty strong. So, midnight makes a power play here, right? Midnight is smart to do this. Midnight lets them keep that mountain, right? That part of the mountain that Midnight had. Alright, Midnight was thinking, if we got a turquoise who's happy, right? Who ain't gonna do no fighting, who ain't gonna attack me because I have part of the mountain, then I'm good. Right, I'm good. Right, yeah, then we gotta get the steel coming in here, and then right here in this area, there ain't really much. Get steel coming in. Yeah, I don't even remember the borders. I think yeah, it's probably like that. You know what, we can just say, oh yeah, the borders changed during the war. The borders got like fixed or whatever. So yeah, this is how the land is looking now. And we're going to get the formation of a new country that's going to rise up from the ashes of this colony right here. And this is going to be the pink country. Alright, their borders, they're going to be along the mountains. And yes, that is gonna do it. Honestly, I think the teal borders were moved. They're moved back a bit. Yeah, brown just basically holds just the river. You know, you gotta feel bad for teal. They ain't got no access to it. So yeah, really, countries have expanded significantly. This land, teals. Yeah, countries have expanded significantly so far. We've had a lot of wars, a lot of expansion over there. Purple is coming out to be a superpower, unlike red. Womp, womp. So yeah, that is going to be it. Alright, we gotta fill out the new countries we have. Yeah, we're gonna start over here. Mocha, right? Amber. Boom. Oh yeah, we got 3 countries. We're gonna walk. Oh right. Sorry, I kind of forgot about that. Almost forgot about it. Yeah, one more thing. Alright, so lavender sort of expands westward. Alright, Guac also expands pretty significantly. Right, its borders now look like this. And now, this is where we're going to leave it off for today. This is where episode 2 is going to finish. Alright, yeah, of course, gotta have the mint. Gotta have the grass. Which I don't think I got last time. Okay, well, I know I have this. I know I have this. Now I have this. Got that. Got that. I think that's gonna be it. It's gonna be all of them. Alright, oh. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We have 19 colors filled so far out on the map. So yeah, that is going to be it for episode 2. Next time, I think a lot is going to happen next time. So yeah, I don't know why I said that. I meant a lot has happened this time. Yeah, that's going to be about it. Bye-bye!